Hi there, Cousin Cheeto from NerdTube. With the recent release of the DCEU's first streaming online television show, a lot of eyeballs are on it, and I have to say that I'm enjoying it so far. But there's one character in particular that I actually have been enjoying and shown most interest in, Amelia Harcourt. Her introduction into the DCEU was in the recent James Gunn movie Suicide Squad. And I have to say, it wasn't very memorable in my opinion. She was just kind of a pretty face behind a computer screen, guiding Task Force X into the Starro invasion. And honestly, it was okay. I'm not going to say anything. But now, as most streaming and television shows do, they get to expand on the characters a lot more. And Harcourt actually seems to be one of those standout characters that I seem to be getting more interested in. And not just because she's a pretty face, although she is. What I want to look at today is who Harcourt's MCU counterpart would most likely be, because it seems like all of us nerds like to compare the DCEU to the MCU. So, with that all being said, let's jump into who I think Amelia Harcourt's MCU counterpart would be. First, we're going to talk about Peggy Carter, which I don't think they have too much in common other than them being badasses, which a lot of the ladies on this list are badasses, including Harcourt and Peggy Carter. The only thing that I can really compare these two together for is the fact that Peggy Carter was kind of the 1940s version of the person in the chair, whereas Harcourt also started off as a person in a chair in the movie Suicide Squad, and then moved out now into field work. So that's really the only comparison I can make there. Next, I'm going to be comparing her to Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow. And this is actually the original reference I wanted to make to this video. But after talking with Zam, we actually kind of found out that she has a lot in common with a lot of characters in the MCU. But one particular thing I want to point out is the fact that when I was doing my research online, Harcourt actually in the comics was a Russian American Argus agent sent to spy on Amanda Waller and Task Force X. However, in reality, she was a spy for the terrorist organization known as the People. And when Waller was killed in the comic books, she, Harcourt, took control of Argus. And although this is not a direct apples to apples comparison, we see that in the MCU that Black Widow was also a Russian spy that came to America and was turned over to the side of quote unquote good and took over leading the Avengers. So there is a lot to compare here with Natasha Romanoff's Black Widow, but I actually feel like there are more comparisons to other MCU characters that we're going to get into here in a second, rather than just Natasha Romanoff, the Black Widow. I want to talk about the potential of Harcourt and where she might be going in the DCEU through this Peacemaker television show. And that kind of brings us to the next comparison on my list is Yelena Belova, because Yelena Belova is kind of a middle ground between Black Widow and the last person on this list that I will get to. And I really feel like that Yelena Belova is actually a good comparison because in one of the Peacemaker episodes, we did see her kill without much remorse because the mission was compromised and she kind of did what she had to do even though she seemed to not want to really do it. But this security guard was not compromised, but he had seen too much, and Harcourt did what she had to not to compromise Operation Butterfly. So in that aspect, I really feel like that Harcourt could move more into that gray area of doing what she has to do to complete the mission, which definitely would put her in the category of a Yelena Belova type character. So moving on to the leading lady of this conversation, and that is the person that I think Harcourt reminds me of the most, and that would probably be Sharon Carter. Sharon Carter started off with a lot of good intentions, high ambitions, trying to do the best that she can, and then coming to realize in a world that basically turned away from her that she has to do what she has to do to survive and to make it on her own. And albeit selfish or whatever you want to call it, I feel like Sharon Carter actually is not exactly wrong in some of the stuff she's doing, and I could see Harcourt going down that route. Not only that, but both Sharon Carter in the Falcon and Winter Soldier series and Harcourt so far in Peacemaker are both pretty badass. If you recall the warehouse dock scene from Falcon and Winter Soldier, Sharon Carter was picking guys off left and right, so she definitely has a training. Harcourt in the first 3 episodes of Peacemaker especially in the bar scene and out in the field, has shown us that she definitely has some really good training. I mean, she is former CIA and Special Argus unit, so she has to have some kind of training. And really, do I think that Harcourt is going to become a villain? No, not really. But I can see her still going down the same route as Carter and her taking over Argus eventually and then becoming one of the mainstays in the DCEU, maybe eventually turning into a Colby Smulders, Maria Hill type character eventually. But as of right now, I feel like that Sharon Carter is a more comparable person to Harcourt rather than any of these other ladies. All I can say is that all of these ladies are badass, and we are much better for them being in these series. And what do you think? Do you think that Harcourt is on her way to becoming more like a Sharon Carter? Maybe you think she's more like a Black Widow or Yelena Belova. Or maybe you think that she's more like Maria Hill. Leave your comments below. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to NerdTube. We are the greatest YouTube channel you've probably never sort of heard of. We will catch you in the next one. Catch you guys later.